So it's been 1,841 days since the first episode of Awful Creepypasta was posted at the time that we are recording this. And this is going to be more than likely the finale. So welcome to Awful Creepypasta. I'm Alex.
I'm not.
That's
And
Christian.
I am dead.
And as you can hear, we've brought on...
My name is Eric.
His name is Edic.
Edit. It's a good name.
So,
Famous from Slowly Going Crazy, True Haterhead, etc.
yeah, most of you might be aware of him by now. Maybe not. I don't know.
You probably saw me in the thumbnail where I'm letting off a Dr. Octagonopus block.
Yeah, a crazy beam of light. And it's been a long run. We've gone from haunted saves,
We have.
true haterheads. There's been some weird stuff here and there. But we've never been not
Shaggy
stupid.
impressions.
Shaggy impressions. There's been Goldblums.
I had a lot of
There's been a lot of Robloxes.
And it all started with Happy Happy.
And I wouldn't say it started with Happy.
Going in deep already. Dude.
Wow!
But yeah, so this is going to be the last episode of Awful Creepypasta that we do until further notice. Let's get this moving because we've already gotten 2 minutes into the video. We haven't even introduced what we're going to be reading. And we've got a doozy.
I don't even know what it is.
It's a Jeff the Killer story.
Well,
It's kind of a long series that I found.
It's got a prologue, 3 acts, sub-act, and an epilogue.
That's way too structured for a Jeff the Killer.
So I'm guessing that this is probably going to be more like a final season of Awful Creepypasta just because of how long it is.
That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point because we don't want to, drop a 10-minute episode and say, see ya. So, first of all, this story is called Beware of Those Who Would Do You Harm.
Is that a Bible quote?
It might be a Bible quote.
I'm sure that string of words is somewhere in something.
And this prologue is being read from the perspective of someone named Wendy.
Remember that part of Deuteronomy in the Bible where it says "Beware of Jeff the Killer"?
Yeah,
That was really cool. That's
Right
my
next to
favorite part.
right next to the part from that Kendrick song. So let's do it.
There's this really trippy ad at the bottom of this.
Yeah, there's a credit score ad.
You can close it.
It keeps moving around.
Go ahead and close it. All right, let's go.
All right. Wendy ran as fast as she could. She had no time to stop at any of the houses that flew by as she ran.
Yeah, they were flying.
Because she had no time to stop at any of the houses that flew by.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Because she knew the darkness was closing in on her. Besides, this was all her fault. Her grave mistake.
The darkness was
She
closing
had-
in. That's
she
my
had-
favorite band.
She had allowed darkness into her life, and she wasn't about to lead it into others. Her parents had already paid the price for it. She blinked back tears as she remembered, just moments before, how she had walked in to find the disemboweled bodies of her parents lying in a heap on the floor,
Well, you're getting right into it.
and how a dark figure had stepped from the shadows into the moonlight, holding a bloody knife, and revealing himself to be...
Jeff the Killer!
Actually, it dots and then says, Wendy shook her head as she continued to run. Now was not the time. We know it's going to be Jeff the Killer, obviously.
Of course it is.
Who else would it be? Maybe it's Jane. He was coming for her. It's
Okay,
Jeff.
it's up.
Maybe it's Burger King.
And she had to lead him as far away from her little hometown as possible. All of her friends and neighbors were there. She could at least save them.
Could you?
Wendy had resigned herself to her fate. It was what she deserved after all. But how could she have known that the one she loved the most would turn out to be something wicked? What a stupidly worded.
Is there a love story here?
Wendy paused to catch her breath. Oh no.
There's a
Oh,
love
no.
story here, isn't there?
That's what happened the last time Eric was here. Wendy paused to catch her breath. She was standing in front of the cornfield that separated her town from the next one.
Thank you for
That
the
giant
explanation.
cornfield that separates 2 towns.
There's corn!
Wendy,
Well, it's kind of a runway for the houses that fly there.
yeah. Wendy thought back again to when she had first met him. She was always drawn to strange people. Wow. And the new boy in town had definitely fit the bill.
It was just Billy Eilish.
Boy. Everyone stayed away from him at school, so she was the only one brave enough to talk to him. It wasn't long before she had fallen hard, and despite everyone, including her best friend Abby, warning her that he was dangerous, They began dating.
Great.
By the way, this creepypasta did get pasta of the month, so just keep that in mind. Looking back on it now, it seemed like she had cared about him more than he cared about her. It was like he was void of any emotions. But Wendy didn't have long to reminisce. A whizzing sound interrupted her thoughts.
And what are you reminiscing on?
And before she could turn around, she felt a sharp pain in her leg. My boy Jeff threw a knife, probably, yeah.
Eric.
Oh wow, this is the first bit
Eric,
of dialogue.
This
is the first bit of dialogue we've gotten in like 3 paragraphs.
You can do the girl
You can do
voice.
Wendy.
She
Great.
moaned as she fell to the ground. Upon examining her leg, she discovered a small pocket knife protruding from it. Looking up, she could just make out a big I'm just kidding. Looking up, she could just make out his silhouette, the pocket knife silhouette in the distance. He always did have impeccable aim.
What?
She gritted her teeth, pulled out the knife, tried to stand, end the sentence. Because the knife hit her in the back of her knee, she knew that running would now be difficult.
Yeah. And
She also knew that he knew that as well.
Great.
Okay.
But she knew that he knew that she knew.
The way they say he always did have impeccable aim implies this has happened before. So
She remembered the last time he threw a pocket
a knife
at a
into her
woman.
leg.
The silhouette was getting closer.
My leg.
Wendy forced herself to stand, ignoring the pain, and limped into the cornfields, and he apparently didn't see her. Glancing over her shoulder, she saw that she was leaving a trail of blood behind. It would most assuredly lead him straight to her. How far away is he that he can land a pocket knife perfectly but can't, see her? He must have predicted that as well. Oh well, it didn't matter now. He was away from the town and her best friend. But that's all that
He's just
mattered.
gonna go back.
Yeah, wait.
He can just go back. There's nothing stopping him.
Finally, up ahead, she could make out what she was looking for. There was an old abandoned house in the middle of those cornfields. No one knows why it was there. Rumor has that it had been there ever since the town was first established. What? It certainly looked hundreds of years old. It also looked similar to a plantation house, only not as big.
Great.
Still, it was pretty big and spooky. No one, as far as Wendy knew, had ever lived there or even had any interest in buying it. She and her friends used to dare each other to spend the night there when they were kids. The sentence isn't over, comma, who could have known that this would be their final resting place, period, not a question mark.
Yeah, okay. It's fine.
So it's like, she and her friends used to dare each other to spend the night there when they were kids, who could have known that this would be her final resting place. So the kids knew that she would die there.
They might have known
And they're
already.
just like, nah, fuck you, we're not gonna tell you.
Since no one bothered to lock the doors, Wendy staggered inside. What do you mean no one locked the doors? No one lives there.
That's a good point.
Slamming the door behind her. The pain in her leg was becoming unbearable.
She slammed the door, but she's trying to get away from him.
And the loss of blood was starting to make her head spin. Wendy collapsed against the wall in the living room and glanced around the empty house. As she waited for him to come, she wondered what she would do. She had come here without a plan, only wanting to lead him away.
Okay.
But what happens after? How could she be sure that he simply wouldn't go back? That's a good question.
Exactly. He's just gonna go back.
No, she wouldn't let that happen. She had let the wrong one in. So he was her responsibility. Responsibility. It would all end here. Her head snapped up.
She's dead. The end. It ended.
As the front door slowly opened. She was out of time. Using the windowsill next to her, she managed to stand. The silhouette entered and, after locating her, calmly walked in. So he entered and then after finding her walked in.
Yeah, he didn't know.
No, he walks in.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, there she is. And then he somehow walks in again.
Yeah.
Wendy pressed her back against the wall and held her breath as he inched closer and closer. The closer he got, the more clearly she could see him, thanks to the light provided by the windows. Thanks, windows.
This is great.
When he was just an arm's length away, she could examine him in his entirety. The bloody white hoodie, the knife that used on her parents, the long black hair covering most of his face. Wendy wanted to look into his cold black eyes. I like how the people who write these keep all of the details of him pretty consistent.
They're consistent, yeah.
But he held his head slightly down, making it difficult. The hair didn't matter, but
Yeah, no, it was the head.
instead, Wendy glanced again at the knife that he gripped in his hand as if his life depended on it, probably because it kind of does. Wendy murmured. Jeff, okay, there we go. Jeff slowly lifted his head. She could only see one eye. But its stare, okay, that is good.
No, that's correct.
But its stare burned into hers. Carefully, oh no. Carefully, she lifted her hand and pushed his hair aside. His face was made up like it always was, like the Joker.
So, wait. Did he always look like the Joker in school as well?
No. Oh, yes, apparently.
His face was made...
She had found his strangeness interesting, but it scared everyone else to look at him. A demented clown is what their schoolmates had called him behind his back. Very fair.
Jeff,
She said again.
why are you doing this?
Tears rolled down her cheeks as memories of their short time together flashed through their mind.
I just met you.
All right, you've got another line.
I don't understand. What did I do wrong?
She went on.
I loved you, Jeff. I thought you felt the same way.
Jeff said nothing. He simply took a step back and raised his knife, preparing to strike.
No.
Wendy,
Oh, God!
Wendy nodded, realizing that she might never know.
All right, Jeff. If this is what you want, just one more kiss before I go.
Before Jeff could respond, she
He
wrapped
killed
her arms around his neck and leaned him down for a kiss. His lips were soft, like they had always been, but this kiss was different. He didn't return it. He merely stood there as she embraced him. Wendy dropped one of her arms to discreetly dig into her pocket. She gripped the pocket knife that he had thrown at her earlier, but did not pull it out. Up until a few moments ago, she wasn't sure if she could even use it on him. Now she was definitely sure that she couldn't, no matter what
So do you care more about your
he had done.
screwed up love story, or do you care more about the town you were trying to save?
Obviously the love story. Wendy let go of him and leaned back against the wall. Wendy studied his face, which was now dumbfounded, and his breathing quickened. She couldn't understand why, but it didn't matter.
Did Jeff find love?
Goodbye, Jeff.
Wendy closed her eyes and waited. And waited. And waited.
And waited.
And waited. No, I'm just...
And waited.
After what seemed like forever,
She waited.
she waited. Yeah. She slowly opened her eyes.
And waited.
He was gone. Without a word. Without a sound. The front door was opened wider than it had been before. How? And so she was truly alone. Instead of leaving right away,
She waited.
she waited. Yeah. She sank to the door. She sank to the door. She sank to the floor
And waited.
and wept.
Oh, why'd you have to blow ball me?
And that is the end of
Prologue.
the prologue.
The prologue.
Let's see if there's some
Oh, wait.
comments.
Oh,
So there's 41 comments. Let's check out some of these. Okay, this is from Derp Butt. Before anyone convinces themselves that I've been murdered and some Jeff fangirl is currently wearing my skin to schedule pastas, what? Be reassured. I promise you that in the end, this series has a message that I can only hope will sink in for those of you who think it's a good idea to romanticize serial killers. Is that not legitimately
But that's
what
just
you're doing here?
That is just what happened. And by calling it out doesn't mean you didn't do it. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, there was a direct link up there.
There was a direct link. So this concludes the prologue. I hope that you guys find this little fun series fun. I hope that this helps Awful Creepypasta go out with a bang.
Alright, this might load.
Do you want to put these little audio clips in one part of the episode?
What part of this is the life?
What?
That wasn't the sense.
Eat bad!
Oh no! The proxy.
Not the proxy and the firewall.
Slenderman's there.
Slender Man, Slender Dick.
Yeah.